A welcome to Instant Reaction. I'm Casey Vallier, joined by Colts Ring of Honor wide receiver Bill Brooks, right here in Indianapolis Colts podcast. And we are talking about another dominant victory for the Colts as they defeat the Las Vegas Raiders inside Lucas Oil Stadium 40-6. It is the second time in 3 weeks the Colts have put up 40 points. It is their third 20-plus point victory of the season. The Colts now improved to 4-1, and I mean, it is just impressive what this team has continued to do week in, week out. We talk about in the NFL, more games are lost than won, and I think we'd all agree the Rams game was a game the Colts lost, and the other 4 games the Colts have done everything in their power to emphatically get victories, and we saw that again today, Bill.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what you want to do. You want to go out there and you want to kind of establish yourself and show that, you know what, when we come out here to play after we played a game last week where we pretty much beat ourselves as far as the Colts that beat themselves against the Rams, they want to come out here this week and show that, you know what, we are the team that we should be able to go out there, play our game, play efficient, not make mistakes, and move the ball up and down the field and hopefully dominate and jump on this team early. And they did that. They jumped on the team early. And they were dominant, and they did offensively move the ball up and down the field, and they played well in the red zone, both offensively and defensively.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of, the routine.
Yep.
We're going to have 3 big bullet points that we're going to talk about, and you kind of highlighted what we're going to start is the offense, the efficiency of the offense, and how it's just been continuing, led by Daniel Jones, to just move the football down the field, and you're almost forgetting that you have Rigoberto Sanchez as a punter because he's out there once or twice a game, it seems like. And that's on some games. Other games, he's not even punting.
Exactly.
So it's been impressive what the offense has been able to do. So we're going to start there. We're also going to talk about red zone. You mentioned that. And then special teams because there were positives to take away, but then also the injury to Spencer Schrader. So we'll kind of dive into a bunch of those. But before we talk about the Colts' offensive efficiency, it's much more complicated, the NFL, than this, but I break it down to the Colts have won the turnover battle now 4 times, and they've got 4 wins. They lost the turnover battle once. They lost that game. I know there's a lot more that goes into it, but a lot of times, if you look at the turnover differential, that's a lot of times who is winning and losing the game, and we saw it again. No turnovers for the Colts. They have 2. They forced 2 interceptions by Geno Smith. They win the turnover battle. It's not that easy, but it seems like it's that easy, Bill.
Well, it's not that easy, but it seems that way, but it's
Right.
not that easy. And it's not a definite that if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win the game. But you know what? It's a pretty good indicator that you have a real good shot of winning a football game. And when you create those turnovers, it not only gives you the ball back and give you another opportunity to score a point, especially with an offense that has been as efficient as the Indianapolis Colts have been, but it also takes momentum away from the other team.
Yes.
And the team is deflated a little bit. So when you get those turnovers, it deflates the other team and gives you more energy from your own team, and you can go down there and hopefully score points and, convert those turnovers into points. And those are big plays for your team, and that's how you play complementary football. You always hear about it, and that's what the Colts did today. They got the turnovers, they went down there, and they scored points. And when you do that, and not just turnovers, but also stop them on downs. The Colts stopped them on 4th down. They got the ball back and went down and converted that to some points. So it's good to see the Colts do those things. That's what you want. That's what you want to see, a defense stopping a team, getting a turnover, getting the ball back to the offense. Let the offense do what they could do well, and hopefully they can go down and score some points. And the Colts did that. And that's what you want to see, a team not only going out there scoring points and winning football games, but we talked about this in the pregame radio show about not just winning the football game, but how you play the game.
Right.
And the Colts came out today and they dominated. They jumped out on them early, and kind of took their momentum away. And I don't want to say it took their will away, but it made it very difficult for them to come back and play this game and win this game.
Now, a big part of that is the play that you've gotten in the quarterback position. Daniel Jones, yet again today, completing 69% of his passes, 2 more touchdowns, and sat out the 4th quarter. Those 3 things right there, that's pretty good. That's about as good as you want. It was funny, Shane Steichen was asked about that, and he's like, it's a pretty awkward moment to say, hey, guys, we're going to sit you here in the fourth, but it's great when you think of, the wear and tear on the body, being able to get a quarter off when you have a game so handily in hand. It's just you just got to continue to tip the. I mean, these shows that we're doing, Bill, are becoming essentially the same show because we're talking about how efficient week in, week out Daniel Jones has been. But I think it's safe to say now that this is who he is. We have seen 5 games, and Daniel Jones has looked essentially the same through all 5, and it is a big tip of the cap to Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard and staff for identifying a guy to bring in, and he has been the perfect player for this Colts offense through 5 weeks.
Yes, he has. I mean, he today was 20 for 29, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, no interceptions, and he did his job out there in the football field. And the thing I like about Daniel Jones, I know the players say this about he worked so hard during the week to prepare himself for the game, so he knows exactly what he can expect out there in the football field from the opponent. And when he gets out there, it's very easy for him. He's seen it before. He's thought about it. He played out that play in his mind, so he knows what to do. And he takes what the defense gives him.
Yeah.
And when he spreads the ball around like he did today, and like he does every other week. I mean, today you had Downs had 8 targets, 6 receptions. Pittman had 5 receptions. Warren had 4. Taylor had 3. Doolin had 2. He's spreading the ball around to different guys, and what that does for your offense, it makes the offense unpredictable because the defense says, oh, you know what, they're going to go to so-and-so on this down. No, the Colts take what you give me. If you give the Colts, Tyler Warren, Daniel Jones is going to take it. You give him Josh Downs, Daniel Jones is going to take it. And that's what makes this offense so powerful and unpredictable and difficult for defenses to stop. So Daniel Jones is just doing his job. It's not anything fancy or anything like that.
Right.
He's just doing his job, and that's what you want from your quarterback. Get the ball in the playmaker's hands and let them do all the work.
Now, this is kind of a two-parter here, but this is all – it starts with Daniel Jones. It's the offense as a collective, but 8 of 10 on third down.
Yep.
And they had a stretch today where they had 6 straight touchdowns on possessions. I mean, that just doesn't happen in football. I mean, you don't see those kinds of stretches. 8 for 10 on third down. I mean, if you're the Raiders, you're looking back on it and going, man, we got them to third down. And it wasn't like every third down was third and manageable today.
No.
There were a handful of third and longs that I felt like the play to Downs where you need 11 and he gives you 12.
Yep.
And it's just such a great and fun thing to watch what this Colts offense has been able to do. And there you go. I mean, 6 straight possessions with a touchdown, 8 of 10 on third down. So they're doing it on the money, the times where you need it. Third down is where that's a money down, and you're being able to convert, and it's leading to, streaks of touchdowns. It's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. And like you said about the Downs play, Downs caught the ball short of the sticks, but he made a guy miss. And he made
that spin move
and got it and dove and got the first down. That's what you want. You want Daniel Jones saying, hey, you know what? Josh Downs, here's the ball. Do what you do. And Josh Downs did what he needed to do to get the first down. And that's what you want to see. And from a team to be efficient, and all the thirds down weren't 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. There's some longer ones.
Yep.
And they got those first downs, and that's very important to keep the drives alive. And you said 6 in a row where they scored a touchdown. That's pretty impressive.
Yes.
That is pretty impressive. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the first drive of the game where they didn't score. And I think it was the last drive of the game they didn't score. Right. Everything in between, they scored. So that's pretty impressive.
Very, very impressive. And one of the guys getting in on all that action was Jonathan Taylor, who had not 1, not 2, but 3 of them. And this is something that we've seen it a couple times now this season where Jonathan Taylor has shown you that he has the touchdown capabilities. We know he's got the breakaway speed. We know he's got the long plays. We didn't see any of that today.
No.
We saw a couple, 8 to 15-yard runs, but it was Jonathan Taylor, you're going to be the guy to get us across the goal line, and he did that 3 times again today. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, we've mentioned it a couple times, but he looks that he is definitely in peak Jonathan Taylor prime right now.
He's playing extremely well, extremely high level right now.
Yes.
Today with 17 carries for 66 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And give the offensive line a lot of credit. They did a nice job. You talk about Jonathan Taylor, but without that offensive line, Jonathan Taylor doesn't get those touchdowns. Q pulling and blocking people and moving people out of the way. And
Man, he had a couple of pancakes
yes,
today that
exactly.
were solid
so
from Q.
It's good to see that and him going out there and just paving the way for Jonathan Taylor and the other guys on the offensive line as well. They did a nice job and give them credit. Now, this was one of those total team wins.
Yes.
It was the receivers played well, tight ends played well, quarterbacks played well. Offensive line did a nice job. Good job by the defensive line putting pressure on Geno, getting a couple of turnovers there. Great job by the secondary getting a turnover. Latu getting another pick for a defensive lineman. Credit to him, and that was good to see that everyone played well. And we're going to talk about it, but the special teams as well.
Yeah.
All three phases. So this was a great win. It was fun to see the team play well in all three phases and to bounce back from the game they had last week.
Now, to piggyback off what you said with the offensive line, 0 sacks again today on Daniel Jones. And, I mean, I'm at a loss of words because it's next man up. We saw Dalton Tucker step in well last week. He played just fine. Mac Gonzalez back in there. They don't miss a beat. There is one thing I would have liked to have seen changed was when Bernard Ryman was made eligible. They did attempt him in the end zone. It would have been really cool to see him haul in a touchdown.
It would have been nice.
Taking him back to his tight end days when he was in college. But, no, the offensive line definitely deserved their flowers. Another really good performance. One more thing on the offense I want to talk about, and it is Michael Pittman Jr. He had another touchdown today. That's his 4th of the season. One of the things that I think we've mentioned it on this show, that when he talked about the tiers of receivers, and he kept saying, I'm not quite in that tier 1 because of the touchdowns. I want to improve and find myself scoring more touchdowns. He's already got 4 through 5 games. That's pretty darn good there for Michael Pittman Jr. We know he's able to get in there, but it's good to see him being able to finish through and score, get into the end zone for sure.
It's good to see that. One of the leaders on the team, him going out there playing hard, and we know how hard Pitt plays. He plays hard every single game. He gives up his body for the team, blocking and also making catches and running after the catch. So give Pitt a lot of credit, and it was nice to see him make that touchdown catch. It wasn't an easy catch.
No.
And it was a good play by Daniel Jones. Great throw, scrambling, and good job by Pitt to concentrate and make sure he held on to the ball. So that was nice to see. And Pitt's just doing what he does. I mean, I think Pitt is just a very aggressive, physical wide receiver out there, and he loves to play that way.
Right.
And he's playing that way, and his teammates respect him for that because they know when the game is on the line, Pitt's going to be there for them.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to red zone, I was pretty impressed to see the numbers. I get the joy of being on our radio broadcast with Rick Venturi, and those are certain keys to him every single week is the red zone. And he was adamant that this game was one of them that they could get back on track because we have seen the one negative probably of this team to this point, or one of the couple negatives. I mean, you're not perfect, so there's been a couple areas you can clean up. But one of the areas that they've really been trying to improve on is in the red zone. You're getting down there, but you're settling for field goals. Today on offense, the Colts were 6 for 6 in the red zone scoring touchdowns. But then if you flip it to what the defense did against the Raiders' offense, the Raiders got to the red zone 4 times, 0 touchdowns. So for a team collectively today, they were 10 for 10 inside the red zone. That is as good as you can possibly be right there. That is incredible play, and that is just an awesome – hopefully you can keep that trajectory going because that's where it all comes down to. You want to be able to get – you want 7. You don't want to – 3. You want points. But you prefer to have 7. You don't want to settle for 3, and the Colts were able to do all of that today and then limit what the Raiders were able to do because they just allowed 2 field goals all day, 40-6. Red zone is not entirely the reason, but if you look at the points, it essentially is the reason the score is 40-6.
Yeah, in the red zone, it makes it first of all, it is difficult to score in the red zone because, of course, everything is shrunk down and makes it really difficult to get the ball into these small, tight windows. But when you have guys like Tyler Warren, when you get the ball into him and knowing he's going to hold on to the ball and catch it and score a touchdown, you got guys like Pitt that can, take those hits when he gets the ball and bounce into the end zone. Those are the things you're going to need. And to see the team be efficient in the red zone, those things you have to continue to do moving forward because, as you said, you want to get touchdowns. You're going to play some games where there are going to be teams that are going to score some points, and field goals aren't going to get it done. You're going to have to score touchdowns. And for the Colts today to be 10 for 10, both sides, offense and defense, but from an offensive standpoint, to be that efficient in the red zone and scoring touchdowns is very important for this team, and it shows how good this offense is.
Yeah.
How they're moving the ball, how well they're playing, how good Daniel Jones is playing, how well the offensive line is playing. And just you have to use everybody and everything. And I think Shane Steichen does a good job of using all his weapons down in the red zone. Hopefully he will continue to do that, which I'm sure he wants to do that, and be able to score some points. So very important for the guys to make sure they continue that moving forward.
Now, final thing here on the game, special teams. And it's, you have some good, but you also have an injury that is going to be a tough one to overcome. We don't know the severity on Spencer Schrader yet, but starting with Segun Alubi.
Yeah.
I mean, Shegu was able to get a pivotal blocked punt. It seems like we are constantly calling his name in the punt block category, and it was interesting. We talked to him in locker room today, and I was impressed at what he said. He said, essentially, the Raiders lined up in a weird formation that we hadn't seen, and we didn't have a punt block on, but the guy that I was lined up with, where his positioning was, I knew it would be difficult for him to block me. So I said, okay, I've got to protect myself because it's a different formation. But once I see it's a punt, I know I've got the ability to get in. And that's one of the things. Some people don't, you don't always see what goes into being a special teams player because for Alubi, he's got to focus on being a defensive linebacker too, but also understanding how important special teams is. And he's able to identify a play on special teams, get around the edge, get an awesome punt block that sets your team up inside the red zone to get another touchdown. Incredible play by Segun Alubi. Tip of the cap because this guy, it seems like, I think this is the second punt block we've called his name in the last 2 years, and it seems like he's only getting better in the special teams game. So he is definitely a player. We've talked about Ashton Doolin.
Yep.
We talk about Tyler Goodson. We talk about Anthony Gould. But Alubi's starting to put his name in that category of being a pretty key and dominant special teams player.
Good for him because to me, what he just said to you, I mean, in the interview was that, you know what, I saw something where I thought I could make a play, where this guy was going to be out of position. So he's not a robot out there.
Right.
He's being a football player out there. He's assessing.
Instinctive.
Yes, he's assessing the play, what they're doing, and then he says, I can make this play.
Yeah.
And, was he taking a chance? Yes, he did take a chance, but you know what? Good for him for taking a chance, and it worked out for them.
Yeah.
It worked out for the Colts. They turned around, of course, and scored a touchdown. After that, from an offensive standpoint, got the ball back to the offense, and they scored a touchdown. But good for him for being a football player out there, just going out there, making a play, understanding what they're trying to do to him, and just that comes from preparation, watching film, and something that they haven't shown before. So it was good for him, and he made a play, and that's what you want to see. You want to see guys out there not being a robot every single time out there, being a football player, making a decision, going out there, and then making a play. And he did that, and they got the ball back to the Colts.
Now, one play that doesn't show up in the box score, we all watched the kickoff return from Ashton Doolin that was called back. I thought just from what he did on the play, he deserves a little bit of credit because it was a very, very, very well-returned ball by Ashton Doolin. We all know what Ashton Doolin can do. I mean, he is the consummate pro, the best team guy you'll ever meet. Whatever you ask him to do, he's going to do it, and to the best of his abilities. Today, he got a little bit more run offensively, was able to haul in a couple big plays that were really beneficial for the offense. So I do want to mention Ashton Doolin. I know that the kick return doesn't count as a touchdown, but in our minds, there may be a little asterisk by it. I might say, maybe it should have been because I don't know if you saw the block. Maybe a little touchy, but, I'm not an official. I'm not going to go in there. But, so well done by Ashton Doolin there. Now, Spencer Schrader, we saw him leave the game under his own power, definitely walking gingerly as he went to the medical tent and then into the locker room. They did rule him out with the knee after essentially he got roughed on an extra point.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know the severity of the knee injury. Shane Steichen did say, early reports, it doesn't look great. We don't know what that means. So we saw the Colts kind of have to revert to another option today. We saw after the touchdowns, they went for, I think it was 4 2-point conversions, 3 or 4 2-point conversions. So they did not attempt a field goal or a PAT following Spencer Schrader's injury. If it would have gone there, I think Shane mentioned that Ogletree would have held. It would have been Ogletree would have snapped, Luke Rhodes holding, and Rigo would have been the kicker. Heading into a new week, I would assume we will see a new kicker brought in. Don't know who that's going to be, but we will try to keep you updated on everything with Spencer Schrader. But it's a pretty big injury.
Yeah, it's a tough injury. A guy that's playing well, special teams player
of the
month, and that shows how good he's been playing,
right? What
he's been doing out there, and how much confidence the team had in him, knowing that, hey, look, if we're getting within his range, we feel very comfortable that he's going to make field goals.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You want a kicker that you feel very confident in, and that someone is out there that's going to be consistently successful on his field goal tries and, of course, on extra points. And, Spencer was doing that. And it's sad to see that, he got hurt, he got injured, unfortunately, because he's playing well. And to see all the guys out there, that shows how much the guys care for him, how much the guys respect him, and what he's done for the football team thus far. So hopefully that we don't know, like I say, we don't know the severity of the injury. And, Shane did say, it doesn't look good, but I'm hoping things turn out well for the young man. But, we'll see what happens moving forward. I'm sure the Colts will bring in some kickers to look at and see who they're going to sign. But if you look at this game, I thought they played well on all three phases. That was, to me, the low point of the game. Spencer Schrader, unfortunately, getting hurt, and just wish the best for him because he's not only a good kicker, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
And that to me hurts me more than anything else. A great guy suffering that injury, unfortunately, because you can tell his teammates love him. They were out there for him, and they were, just encouraging him to. Hopefully, he'll be all right. But I just wish the best for him and his family.
Absolutely. Now, one final thing of note: we saw the Maniac back inside Lucas Oil Stadium, number 53. Darius Shaquille Leonard, he announced his retirement as a member of the Colts today. A lot of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
We know he spoke with the media prior to the game, and then he had a ceremony at halftime. We all probably have 50 stories of where we watched Shaquille impact the game because that's what he was. I mean, he was a game wrecker. His career, I think we can all say, was cut much shorter than it should have been due to, some injuries that forced him to retire a little early because this guy was, he was a man on a mission, and you hated to see the way that it ended, but I thought it was really, really cool he was able to kind of come back and get a little bit more of a ceremony that he deserved, a celebration for what this guy did, sacrificing everything he had, body, mind, and soul, I will say he gave to this team, to this field, and he was a player that we loved to watch play, and we're loving watching his success after football, but really, really cool to see the Maniac back in the building.
It was cool to see the Maniac back in the building, and I know his career, he started off very, very hot, playing extremely well coming into the league.
All pro after all pro after all pro.
Exactly, and then unfortunately having those injuries, that has to be tough because as an athlete, basically your body, you're making your living with your body out there, and then you're counting on your body to function at a certain level. And unfortunately, after so many years, his body just kind of didn't allow him to do certain things out there in the football field, and took away from what he normally did, because that was a man that was just creating turnovers and turnovers and turnovers, just a punch out machine. That's all he was doing, and making tackles all over the field. So I felt for him when his body kind of let him down out there, but he tried, and he wanted to come back, and he tried to come back, but it was good to see him out there and him wanting to retire as a coach, and the fans appreciating what he did, not only on the football field, but what he did off the field as well, because to me, that's the most important thing, what he did off the field and how he went out in the community and gave himself to the community, not just here in Indianapolis, but back in his hometown as well. So kudos to Shaq, and I wish he was still playing because I would love to see him running around the field and he was healthy playing. But unfortunately, his body doesn't allow him to
Right.
continue to play football. So kudos to Shaq.
No, and one more real thing, real quick on Shaq. You talk about you wish he was still playing. Me, from a guy who covers this team in the locker room and gets sound bites and talks to players, Shaquille Leonard will always have a spot for me because not only was he just gracious with his time, treated everybody like a friend, but in the locker room, the way that it works, a little behind the curtain, you typically talk to a guy once a week.
Yep.
Shaq Leonard would talk to you any day you were in there. It didn't matter. You talked yesterday. So it's been a day. I got more things to say. That was Shaq. He was that kind of guy, and just from the human aspect, he is, in many ways, one of my favorite people that I have ever been able to be around. So it was awesome to see Shaq get everything he deserved today by that celebration, having Lucas Oil, jammed to the gills, giving him the applause and the round of, the ovation that he deserved. So it was great to see the Maniac back. And I'm not saying I choked up at all, but Shaq Leonard, love you, man. It was so fun to watch you, and I'm really glad that you're able to retire a Colt.
Exactly. You want him. It's nice that he retired a Colt because a lot of his success, all of his success was with the Colts out there in the football field, and just the people that I've talked to and me interacting with Shaq. Just a great person.
Yeah,
just a
wonderful.
good person, and he was fun, always excited. It didn't look like he had a bad day.
No.
I mean, there were some days, of course, he was down because of his injury, but he just was always had a smile on his face when you talk to him, and just a good dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And it only fitting that you're wearing the Kick and the Stigma shirt. He was one of the guys, waving that flag, carrying that torch when he was here about how important mental health is and how it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not okay today, but I'm going to get there. And that was one of the guys, Shaq Leonard, always, trying to promote that as well. So Shaq Leonard, excellent career. Glad you're able to retire a Colt. But that's going to do it for Instant Reaction. The Colts victorious 40-6 over the Las Vegas Raiders. And a little breaking news as we head into next week. The Arizona Cardinals come into town, and they're a little frustrated because they let one slip on Sunday as they fell to the Tennessee Titans. So Cam Ward has his first victory in the NFL, but they will come into town next Sunday, and we will break all that down all week on Colts.com, all the Colts social media channels, everywhere you download podcasts. We will have you locked and loaded for the Colts and Cardinals next week. But for Bill Brooks, I'm Casey Vallier. Thanks a lot so much for listening right here on Instant Reaction.